العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدمه. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وسيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الإمام المجدد شيخ الإسلام العلامة محمد بن عبد الوهاب رحمه الله تعالى في كتاب التوحيد: باب من الشرك إرادة الإنسان بعمله الدنيا. وقوله تعالى: من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينتها نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها وهم فيها لا يبخسون. الآيتين. في الصحيح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم: تعس عبد الدينار، تعس عبد الدرهم، تعس عبد الخميصة، تعس عبد الخميلة، إن أعطي رضي وإن لم يعط سخط، تعس وانتكس وإذا شيك فلا انتقش. طوبى لعبد آخذ بعنان فرسه في سبيل الله أو بعنان فرسه في سبيل الله، أشعث رأسه مغبرة قدماه، إن كان في الحراسة كان في الحراسة، وإن كان في الساقة كان في الساقة، إن استأذن لم يؤذن له وإن شفع لم يشفع. Chapter number 37. Shaykh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, min ash-shirki, the chapter heading is min ash-shirki, from shirk is iradatul insani bi'amalihi ad-dunya, is for the person, iradatul insan is for the person to desire through his righteous actions a worldly gain or a worldly benefit. So as you all know, last week we took chapter number 36. What was the name of chapter 36? Riya. So there's a direct correlation between the previous chapter and this chapter. So the previous chapter was pertaining to a person seeking the praise of the people in order doing a righteous action in order to seek the praise of a person, of a particular person. So obviously when a person does this, they are seeking a component or an element of this world, which is the fact that the people hold him or her in high esteem, alaykum salam, if they do a righteous action. So that was pertaining to Bab Ma Ja'a fi Riya, chapter pertaining to a Riya or showing off. Okay? This chapter is a bit more complex, it's more intricate, and you will realize inshallah ta'ala there's a difference between this chapter and the previous chapter. There are certain things that they both are similar in, but the general aspects of both chapters are different. So this chapter is pertaining to a person, in a nutshell, a person who seeks a worldly benefit through their righteous actions. So this worldly benefit is not regarding showing off. So they are actually doing the action for the sake of Allah. They are performing the prayers, they are reciting the Quran, they are coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all the different types of righteous actions, not to seek the praise of the people. They're doing it for the sake of Allah. However, they are also seeking a worldly gain or a worldly benefit. How so? An example is a person. I'll give you a simple example. A person who owns a shop, a shopkeeper. So this is a shopkeeper, and next to the till they have a donation box. Okay, so they are doing this for the sake of Allah. They are giving this all the money inside this donation box is going to go to charitable causes. So all that money is going to either help feed the poor, or feed an orphan, or build a masjid, any one of the hundreds of righteous causes there are. However, their real intention is so that people sympathize with their business and they come and shop there. So their intention is that basically if people see this donation box, they are more inclined to come into my shop and as a result my business is going to go up. I am going to, my business revenue is going to increase, because people will be more sympathetic to my shop, to my business, thinking that because I'm donating this money to charity, I am more worthy of their money than the next person or the next shopkeeper who doesn't have this donation box. Let me ask you a question. This person, is he doing this for the praise of the people? So the people actually praise him? From how I've described it? No. They're not doing it so people praise them. They're doing it so people come into the shop and buy from them. They don't care whether people praise them or not. Okay? So this is a person who has completed or done a righteous action so that for a worldly benefit. Another example is a person is asked to become a mosque trustee, a masjid trustee. Isn't that a good thing? To become a mosque trustee or a masjid trustee is something, it's a righteous action, because inshallah you will use your new position, your newfound position, to elevate the Muslims and to help the masjid and all of the different charitable causes that the masjid has. Sah? This should be your intention. So this person, their intention unfortunately is not that. Their intention is for prestige. Their intention is for example, their own business interests to increase, for example, or to be better off financially. This is their intention. They don't care whether people praise them or not. In fact, they don't even want to know whether they don't even want people to know that they are a masjid trustee. So this is a person, هذا شخص أراد بعمله الصالح الدنيا. Okay, this is a person who wants their righteous action, who does this righteous action for a worldly gain, for a worldly benefit. Okay? Another example is an imam of a masjid. For example, an imam of a masjid who, their intention is only the salary that comes at the end of the month. This is their only intention. Okay? They're doing it for the sake of Allah. When they say Allahu Akbar and they're leading the people, they are doing it for the sake of Allah. When they recite the Quran, they don't want the praise of the people. This is not riya. Okay, they're doing it for the sake of Allah. However, the difference is that their intention is for them, financial. Their intention is the salary that comes at the end of the month. Do you understand? So this is this chapter is different to the previous chapter, and we'll clarify further inshallah. So the author rahimahullah ta'ala, so basically the objective of the chapter, مقصود الترجمة, is بيان أن إرادة الإنسان بعمله الدنيا من الشرك. Simple. It is to clarify to the reader that if a person desires with their action a dunya, something from this world, okay, then this is considered to be shirk. This is considered to be shirk. And obviously this negates tawheed. This negates to tawheed pertaining to the intention, or the type of niyyah or intention they have. So Shaykh Salih al-Shaykh in his Tamheed, his sharh of Kitab al-Tawheed, I'm going to read what he says regarding this chapter and his explanation of this chapter. Because mashallah, his explanation of this chapter is very simple, and you'll be able to understand clearly inshallah what the chapter pertains to. So he says, the meaning that this chapter is ثواب الدنيا, باب من الشرك إرادة الإنسان بعمله الدنيا, ثواب الدنيا. This is a person who wants their reward in this life. Okay, they don't want to wait for their reward in the akhirah. Okay, another example is if a person prays, gives in charity, gives zakah, so that Allah gives them something in this world, so that Allah makes their matter easy for them. So they're not thinking about the akhirah, they're thinking about this dunya. So he says, ثواب الدنيا, their intention is the reward of this dunya. فهو أعم من حال الرياء. So this is more general than الرياء. This is more general than الرياء. فالرياء حالة واحدة من أحوال إرادة الإنسان الدنيا. So he says that riya is just one element or one situation from the many different situations of a person wanting the dunya through their righteous actions. والذين يريدون الحياة الدنيا أصلا وقصدا وتحركا هم الكفار. He says that those whose main intention, whenever they do any righteous action, aslan wa qasdan wa taharrukan, and their movements, their main objective, everything that they do, even though it's a righteous action, then the intention behind it is the dunya. And those people are only the kuffar or the disbelievers. Do you not see nowadays, for example, whenever a celebrity or someone famous gives to charity, do you not hear about it? You always hear about it. They are not capable of giving to charity and hiding their charity. It's impossible. They cannot do that. Anyone. Even if a person gives some money to a homeless person nowadays, you see people putting it on YouTube. Listen, look at me. I'm giving money to a homeless person. Okay? So the disbelievers or the kuffar, generally speaking, because they have no notion of the akhirah or a reward that is coming at the end of their life, they want their reward now. They want to be praised now. They want everything now. Okay, so these are obviously the kuffar, as the Shaykh says. وَلِهَذَا, he says, and this is why نَزَلَتْ هَذِهِ الْآيَةِ فِي الْكُفَّارِ. This is why this verse descended upon the kuffar or the disbelievers. Which verse is he talking about? مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ استيقظوا يا إخوان. مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَزِينَتَهَا. The verse here, did I give you one? Okay. The verse here says, مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَزِينَتَهَا. Allah says, whoever wants the hayat al-dunya, يريد, والإرادة تكون أين? الإرادة تكون أين? Where does the irada happen? في القلب, in the heart. Okay, من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا, whoever wants hayat al-dunya, the beauties of this world, وزينتها, whoever wants the hayat al-dunya, وزينتها, and the adornments, and the glamour, and the glitter of this world, نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها. We will hasten their reward for them in this world. Okay, وهم فيها لا يقصون, and they will not be denied any portion of their reward in this life, if this is what they wanted. So the Shaykh says, وَلِهَذَا, this verse descended upon the disbelievers. لكن لفظها, however, its wording, يشمل كل من أراد الحياة الدنيا بعمله الصالح. Its wording encompasses anyone whose main intention behind doing a righteous action is basically this world. So this verse encompasses even the Muslims, a believer who unfortunately does a righteous action for a worldly benefit. Okay? Then the Shaykh says, وَالْأَعْمَالَ الَّتِي يَعْمَلُهَا الْعَبْدُ وَيَسْتَحْضِرْ فِيهَا ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى قِسْمَيْنِ. He says that the actions in which a person, the righteous actions in which a person does in order to attain a worldly benefit are of two types. Are you all with me? What did I just say? ماذا قلت؟ ما لكم نائمون. What did I just say now? نعم. Okay, who just heard, what did I just say now? Yeah, I thought so. طيب. Al-a'mal allati ya'mal. Listen carefully, okay? Because if you have to understand this sentence in order for you to understand what comes after it, okay? Actions. What type of actions are we talking about? Huh? What type of actions? A'mal salihah, righteous actions. We're not talking about drinking and sleeping and waking up and walking. No, we're talking about righteous actions, okay? Actions. And what are righteous actions? What is a righteous action? What is a righteous? Whenever you hear a pious action, what comes to your mind? نعم أخي أنت. Okay, that's an example of a righteous action. But what is a righteous action? نعم. Anything that Allah is pleased with. A righteous action is an action that you perform and you do in order to come close to Allah. Very simple. Now what you are doing is a righteous action. If you do it for the sake, now you are sitting here and learning about Tawheed. You're learning about your religion. So outwardly, this is a righteous action. Inwardly, whether it's a righteous action or not, is between you and Allah. If you're doing it for the sake of Allah, and you're sitting here to actually learn about your religion for the sake of Allah only and not for anything else, you don't want any other worldly benefit, then yes, it becomes a righteous action. Okay? But, so we're not talking about the righteous action inwardly, we're talking about the outwardly righteous action, the appearance of a righteous action. When you see a person praying salah, do you question whether they have wudu or not? No, you don't. You assume that they're doing a righteous action, correct? If they don't have wudu, the reality of the situation is it's not a righteous action because it's not accepted. So here now what the Shaykh is talking about is the appearance of a righteous action. Okay? So he says, الأعمال, listen carefully, الأعمال التي يعملها العبد ويستحضر فيها ثواب الدنيا على قسمين. He says that the actions in which, the righteous actions in which a person performs or in which people do, and their intention is to attain or obtain a worldly benefit, are two types. So this intention that the Shaykh is describing is for what? Is it for the akhirah or for the dunya? For the dunya. So these actions, okay, in which a person's intention is for something from this dunya, are two types. The first, he says, أن يكون العمل الذي عمله لم يرغب الشرع فيه بذكر ثواب الدنيا مثل الصلاة والصيام ونحو ذلك من الأعمال والطاعات فهذا لا يجوز له أن يريد به الدنيا ولو أراد به الدنيا فإنه مشرك ذلك الشرك. He says, the first type of action is an action in which the legislator, يعني Allah, did not mention a worldly reward for the person who does this action. So Allah did not tell us, these are actions or righteous actions in which Allah did not say that you will get this worldly benefit if you do this action. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Like salah and zakah and siyam. So the salah, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say if you pray you will live a long and happy life? No, He didn't. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say if you fast you will gain, I will give you this from this dunya, I will bless your children and I will bless your wealth? Did He say this? No. So that means that this type of action, the salah and the siyam being an example, this is an action connected to the akhirah or to the dunya, on the akhirah only. The reward is only connected to the akhirah. Do you understand? The reward is only connected to the akhirah. So that means then, the Shaykh says, it is impermissible for your intention and your objective when doing this action to be connected to the dunya. Is that clear? Who can repeat? What did I just say? من فهم هذا? Who understood? نعم.
So the Shaykh mentioned that actions that you do, that the legislator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will not mention a worldly gain for it. If you do these actions in hope of getting a worldly gain, this is impermissible because Allah does not mention any worldly gain for these things. These are only specific to the akhirah.
أحسنت. نعم. Correct. That's the first القسم الأول. Okay, that's القسم الأول. Okay, القسم الثاني. Okay, and you can guess what القسم الثاني is just by knowing what القسم الأول is. القسم الثاني أعمال رتب الشارع عليها ثوابا في الدنيا ورغب فيها بذكر ثواب لها في الدنيا مثل صلة الرحم وبر الوالدين ونحو ذلك. وقد قال عليه الصلاة والسلام من سره أن يبسط له في رزقه وينسأ له في أثره فليصل رحمه. فهذا النوع إذا استحضر ذلك الثواب الدنيوي وأخلص لله في العمل ولم يستحضر الثواب الأخروي فإنه داخل في الوعيد فهو من أنواع هذا الشرك. لكن إن استحضر الثواب الدنيوي. So basically he says actions in which the shari', the legislator, has mentioned a worldly reward as well as a ukhrawi reward as well as a reward in the akhirah. And the legislator has incentivized and encouraged the performance of this particular action by mentioning this worldly gain or this worldly benefit. Examples of this type of action are silatul rahim, enjoining the ties of kinship. Okay, joining the ties of kinship, as they say. And also birrul walidain, being good to your parents, being righteous and pious to your parents, and other than them. The Prophet ﷺ, he said regarding the first, whoever wishes that their wealth is blessed and that they live a long life, then let this person join their kin, let this person join the ties of kinship. Okay? So here, obviously, there are two things mentioned. For the person, there's an incentive here for you to pick up the phone and call your mother, or visit your mother and visit your father, and be good to your parents and your brothers and your sisters, and etc., etc. The incentive is that if you do this on a regular basis, that Allah will reward you in this life by blessing your wealth and also making you live a long and happy, prosperous life. Okay? طيب. So if a person, the Shaykh says, إذا استحضر ذلك الثواب الدنيوي, if a person has this intention when joining the ties of kinship, and they're sincere and they're doing it for the sake of Allah, and their thoughts are only in this world, not in the akhirah, then this person is still considered to have fallen into a sin. This person's intention is still considered to be corrupt. Why? They've neglected what? What have they neglected? You're not listening, brothers. What have they neglected? They've neglected the akhirah. So this is a person, no, they did ikhlas. Ikhlas is there. Okay? They're mukhlis. Okay? This is an action that they did for the sake of Allah. When they were joining the ties of kinship, when they were being good to their parents, or their brothers or siblings or whatever, they were doing it for the sake of Allah genuinely. But their intention was the dunya, meaning that they wanted the reward of the dunya. They wanted Allah to bless their wealth. They wanted Allah to make them live a prosperous life. And there's nothing wrong with wanting this, because this is what Allah mentions as a reward for this action. However, this was the limit of their aspirations. Do you understand? هذا كان غاية هدفهم. This was the limit of their aspirations. Their aspirations wasn't the akhirah. They weren't thinking of Yawm al-Qiyamah. They weren't thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate their status in Jannah for doing this. This was not their intention. And as a result of them neglecting the intention of the akhirah, they are still considered to be sinful. Do you all understand? This is very important. Who can repeat? ماذا قلت? Who can repeat, brothers? Apart from you, you repeated it the last time. نعم أخي تفضل. نعم تفضل أخي, I'll ask you later إن شاء الله. معلش. نعم تفضل. No, from just القسم الثاني, yeah, the second type.
Any action in which the legislator Allah will mention with a worldly reward as well as the reward in the akhirah, and the legislator also encourages action by mentioning the worldly reward. This person, the person that does it for both, is rewarded. The other person that does it only for the worldly reward, they limited their aspirations, so they engaged in a sin.
And were they sincere for the sake of Allah? They were sincere for the sake of Allah. And this action is accepted or rejected? Is this action of theirs rejected or rejected? Ahsant. طيب. Let's move on. So we're still in the second type. Ahsant. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, لكن إن استحضر الثواب الدنيوي والثواب الأخروي معا واستحضر ثواب هذا العمل في الدنيا فإنه لا بأس بذلك. However, if a person's intention is the dunya, we're talking about silatul rahim and birrul walidain, yeah? If a person's intention is the dunya and also the akhirah, and they are also sincere for the sake of Allah, okay, then there's nothing wrong with this, and their action is accepted and considered to be righteous. لأن الشرع, because he says the legislator, ما رغب فيه بذكر الثواب في الدنيا, the legislator, ما رغب فيه, did not incentivize us and did not encourage us by mentioning a worldly reward in this life. Okay, كما قال عليه الصلاة, as the Prophet ﷺ says, من قتل قتيلا فله سلبه, in matters pertaining to jihad, for example, the Prophet ﷺ says, whoever kills an enemy, then he will have his spoils of war. Whatever that enemy owns belongs to him. This is an incentive, okay? فهذا النوع, then this type of action, لا بأس به, this type of intention, لا بأس به, there's nothing wrong with this, and having these these simultaneous types intentions, or these different types of intentions. ولا يدخل في النوع الأول, and this is not considered to be from the first group of actions that we mentioned. مما ذكره السلف في هذه الآية, like the Salaf mentioned in this verse. Then the Shaykh says, ولهذا, he says, جمع الإمام محمد بن عبد الوهاب رحمه الله تعالى في رسالة له أحوال الناس فيما قاله السلف تفسيرا لهذه الآية, وجعل كلام السلف يتناول 4 أنواع من الناس كلهم يدخل في هذا الوعيد. He says that the Salaf, our righteous predecessors, regarding this verse, which verse? نعم. The Salaf regarding this verse have categorized the people into 4 different categories. These are the 4 types of people that this verse is talking about, is discussing. Okay? النوع الأول, the first type of person that the verse is describing, من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينتها نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها وهم فيها لا يبخسون. He says النوع الأول يعمل العمل الصالح, يعمل العمل الصالح وهو فيه مخلص لله. The first type is a person who does العمل الصالح, a person who does a righteous action. وهو فيه مخلص لله, and this person is sincere for the sake of Allah. ولكن, however, يريد به ثواب الدنيا ولا يريد به ثواب الآخرة. This is a person who does this action in order to attain a worldly gain. ولا يريد به ثواب الآخرة, and their intention is not the آخرة. Their intention is not to attain the reward of the آخرة. كأن, for example, يتعبد لله جل في علاه بالصلاة وهو فيه مخلص لله. Like a person, he says, who worships Allah by praying, and they are standing in front of Allah for the sake of Allah. They're sincere. أداها على طواعية واختيار. So this is a person who performs this prayer for the sake of Allah, and in order to basically comply with Allah's commandments and His commands. لكن يريد منها أن يصح بدنه. However, his intention is for him to become healthy, but their intention for performing this prayer is for health reasons. For example, now we see, for example, people saying the prayer, they mention some of the benefits of the prayer physically, and they say the ruku', for example, straightens your back. People who perform the ruku' properly, for example, they'll never have back issues, مثلا, as an example, and it's a form of exercise, like this, for example. And their intention is this: or وصل رحمه, a person who has connected the ties of kinship, وهو يريد منه أن يحصل له في الدنيا الذكر الطيب والصلة ونحو ذلك, and their intention in this dunya is prosperity, their wealth to increase, and their prestige. This is their intention. So this is the first type of group of people. فهذا النوع, what's the ruling on these people? ما حكم هؤلاء? The Shaykh says, فهذا النوع, this type of person, عمل العبادة امتثالا للأمر. They did this action in order to comply with Allah's amr and commands. ومخلصا فيها Allah, and they were sincere in their intention. ولكنه, however, طامع في الثواب الدنيا. However, they are seeking a worldly reward. وليس له همة في الآخرة, and they have no aspirations for the آخرة. ولم يعمل هربا من النار وطمعا في الجنة, and they did not do this action fleeing from the fire